Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is an action movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie Gabriel. Now Gabriel stars Andy Whitfield, who you may know as the character Spartacus from the TV series Spartacus Blood on the Sands. Andy Whitfield sadly passed away not too long ago from a type of cancer. So this movie came out in 2007 and really is a starring vehicle for Andy Whitfield, who plays the title character of Gabriel. Now, as you might guess, this is a kind of biblical story, and basically we kind of told in this setup here that essentially this all takes place in purgatory, which is kind of represented as it's kind of like the city, and essentially the city has essentially got 7 sort of angels of light and 7 angels of darkness, or the fallenness there, as they call in this movie, and each they sort of try to vie for power ultimately, and kind of to sort of claim all of the souls that are currently sort of in purgatory for either the side of light or for the side of darkness, and ultimately this kind of battle between these sort of 2 forces of 7 of each angels is sort of raging ultimately, and kind of the darkness is sort of currently winning. And Gabriel is kind of sent as the last of the angels of light to sort of try and sort of have this last ditch attempt to try and sort of take purgatory into the light. And essentially, what follows is Gabriel sort of trying to locate the remaining surviving sort of angels of light, all of who have either kind of given up or sort of gone into hiding, and ultimately defeat the fallen, who are kind of this bunch of demonic-looking angels with kind of like funky contact lenses, and various sort of battles throughout the course of the movie. There's a bit of a twist at the end, won't go into that obviously. Essentially it's kind of just it very much looks like The Crow, I have to say. If you've seen the movie The Crow, or sort of Dark World I think it's called, it basically very much it looks like that, very sort of stylised. It's an Australian production and relatively low budget, but I have to say it looks quite good. Now let me just say the negatives first of all. I have to say it's a little bit contrived. It just seems to try too hard in sort of certain areas. The dialogue is a little bit over the top sometimes, and kind of comes across a little bit sort of trite and cheesy. And I have to say the bad guy's plan for is a bit stupid when you sort of come to think of it. And there's a few sort of things that you think, well, that doesn't really quite make sense. And I'll give you one example. I mean, this is obviously purgatory. It's all kind of set up like a kind of derelict sort of downtown American city. And, you would think purgatory's been there for, thousands upon years. But all of this sort of has seemed to have happened, all this kind of conflict has seemed to have happened within the last sort of 2 or 3 years. And ultimately, the final sort of conflict, as Gabriel gets involved, happens over the course of a few days. But we're told that the rest of the angels have been there for a few years. I'm thinking, well, what's happening before that then? I mean, it's all kind of modern city. Are we sort of saying purgatory has only sort of existed within the last 10 years or so? So it's stuff like that, and there's a few sort of unanswered questions there. The dark angels of the fallen are basically having this we're shown that there's this kind of like almost like this drug that they're sort of giving to these souls, or these people who are sort of living normal lives almost, but kind of a sort of derelict, downtrodden lives, and that's kind of hinted at, but not really really explored. There's not a lot of dialogue between anyone who is really not an angel. There's a few pieces here and there, so you don't really get the sense of exactly what's happening in this world. So the positives is actually, for the budget, it looks really, really good, I have to say. It does kind of look like a TV program sometimes, but the budget's only going to go so far. But it's very much a kind of over-stylized, like I say, very much in the vein of The Crow and things like that. But it looks good. It's all very sort of dark and gloomy, kind of like constantly sort of raining and things like that. The bad guys all look sort of quite menacing. Samil, who is kind of like the head sort of dark angel or fallen, ultimately looks like a very threatening presence, as to the majority of these other kind of sort of lieutenants. And there's some pretty decent action scenes here, and Andy Whitfield does a decent job as kind of the leading role of Gabriel here. And I think it's if you're kind of like a horror movie sort of action film fan, you'll probably get a kick out of this film. It's probably, I haven't really heard of it before. I just happened to stumble across it in the shops, and I'm glad I picked it up. But like I said, it's not a perfect film. It's a little bit confusing, really, especially since I don't think it sort of makes complete sense in sort of some of the sort of plot threads that are sort of going on there. But it is an interesting film, and it's nice to see Andy Whitfield in something other than Spartacus. And it's a decent action film with kind of supernatural, I would say. So I would recommend it if you're kind of interested in the kind of like that sort of almost, it is kind of almost like a sort of superhero or a comic book movie in a lot of ways. It kind of plays out like that. So I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. I quite enjoyed it, and I'm glad I purchased it. So have you seen it? What do you think of it? Leave me a comment. I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.